I can't look at you.
I'm just trying to stay still and not be like this.
I'm looking at myself, but you're just in there. Are you ready? I feel like everything is just about set up. We spent about 10 minutes again faffing
Yeah.
around with all the technology, but I think we're there. So, welcome back to my podcast, Life of an Artrepreneur. This is a very different setup, but I'm trying different ways really as to how I can get other artists on the podcast where the visual and the audio is still good quality. So, we're trying this way today. We'll see if it works. Hopefully, it does.
I can't stop smiling.
So, Conrad is back with us on the podcast, the nominee again. And today I wanted to talk
Due
about...
to popular demand, by the way.
Yeah, due to popular demand. Everyone really liked it when he was in the other one. They were like, oh, bring him back for part 2. And I'd already filmed part 2 by that point. So here he is again. Today we're going to be talking about the quality of content and how it can really kind of boost your engagement and whether it's important or not within like growing your business, just as your business overall. I feel like social media and content in general is just one of the most important things about having a creative business. So I've spoken about in the past a lot to do with Instagram and how I use Instagram as like an online portfolio to showcase my work, because if you think about it, a lot of people will find you online and that's the first thing that they'll see, like all of your content, things that you're posting regularly. So I wanted to talk about whether it's more important to focus on the quality of your content or the quantity of your content. So like quality versus quantity. So this is where Conrad comes in, because you have a background in, well, you do marketing now, don't you? You've got a social media advertising agency that you run full time as a business. So you help me a lot with my social media stuff. And you also did business marketing at uni. So I feel like you've got a
Yes.
lot of knowledge on this stuff, and I've learned more from you when it comes to this stuff than I did at uni and all of that. So how important actually is it to be like consistently posting content on social media if you're wanting to grow and be like a well-established artist? Not that you know it from an artist perspective.
It's out of my depth in terms of artists and that sort of stuff. But overall, I think everybody knows that it's very, very important already to post on social media. Probably 99% of businesses nowadays are on social media. And if you're not on social media as a business or as a artist, I think you need to be posting consistently. It's it's one of the most important things to get yourself out there. I see it almost like a raffle ticket. When you post on social media, you get unlimited amount of opportunities that can come your way when you start posting on social media.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. It's kind of hard to see that far along when you just start posting, because it is a lot of effort, isn't it? Posting, I'd say to actually grow, you should probably post sort of 3 or 4 times a week. But when you are just starting on social media, or you're literally just in those very early stages of any business, it's so hard to constantly be filming to get content. You need to learn all about editing.
Kind of learn everything along the way, right? All the fundamentals
Yeah.
you sort of pick up. It's not something that you just learn all at once, where you know what time to post, what angles to get, what works well with your audience, what audio track to use. Everything is sort of learned along the way. It's something that you just pick up every single time you put out piece of content out there. You see that you get the feedback. Sometimes you don't, and it's discouraging at the start, especially. But it's something that you just need to push through no matter what, especially if you want to make a career out of whatever you're doing and you're posting about. I think it's very important to sort of disconnect yourself from the numbers at the start, because it is going to be discouraging. You'll feel like you're putting a lot of time and effort into creating content and it's not getting anywhere. But it's that consistency that sort of gets you through those times, especially at the start, and then eventually you do start seeing sort of the reward from the content.
I feel like that is my number one question that I get asked all the time is, how do you grow on social media? Like how have you got this many followers in like what seems such a short space of time? But in reality, it's not been a short space of time. It's not been an overnight thing. I've spent years literally building up and consistently posting over years, and that's literally the only way you can do it. as long as you stay consistent and you don't even think about the numbers, you don't focus on that too much, then a few years down the line, a few months down the line, you'll reap the rewards of that, and your following will get a boost, your engagement will go up, you'll probably get more commissions coming in, more interest in your work, more opportunities. Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
How do you think someone can improve the quality of their content? You're really thinking about that one?
Do you know what it is? I think to improve the quality of your content, you need to just doing something repetitively, over and over and over again until you start becoming better at it. And it goes back to what I was saying before. You start understanding what sort of angles to record, what works well for your audience, for your product, or whatever you're trying to sell, and essentially start building high quality content. You'll probably start off with recording with your phone. You'll then probably move over to looking at cameras, improving the actual quality of the content itself. You'll look at audio if you're speaking on your videos. You'll also look at lighting and backdrops and that sort of stuff further down the line. So there's always ways to improve your content and to sort of increase or improve the quality of it overall. There's also things that you can focus on whilst you're posting content. So it's not just the quality of the video itself, but it's also things like educating whilst remembering the fact that all these social media platforms are just entertainment platforms. So that's one of the most important things. You want to entertain people, and if you have a product or a service, then you also want to educate at the same time, I guess.
Have you ever heard of the 80 to 20% rule within like marketing?
Yes.
I read this the other day. So like 80% of what you post should be helpful and engaging and things that people
value-based
like
content,
watch.
right?
Yeah, value-based content where they can learn from it, or they just like watching your drawing process, something that's entertaining. And then the 20% is like your sales and advertising, your products like prints, originals. Like I've just released my second lot of tutorials to keep, so I've been putting that on my stories, which feels like quite a lot this week, but I've also been posting all my usual stuff, so it kind of balances it out a little bit. But I think you need that balance, but more so the usual content of showing your artwork and the drawing process and valuable stuff rather than just the salesy part. You need like a good balance so that the people that watch your content or engage with you the most, you kind of build that trusting relationship with them. So when you do post something that's about tutorials to keep or prints or whatever it is, they're more likely to go and buy it because they've been engaging in your content all that time, and they think, oh well, I like the content, maybe I'll give this a go or buy a print from them. If you were just constantly posting nothing but your products, it's a bit much, isn't it? It's nice to have that balance. So that's something I read the other day, which was like the 80 to 20% rule in terms of marketing, which I guess does make sense in terms of social media.
Yeah, there's a bit more depth to it, but I'm not going to nerd out all about funnels and social media channels and all sorts of stuff. But the whole broad idea of it is 80% of your content should be value, where you entertain or inform people, and then 20% is basically asking for the sale or asking someone to take an action, whether it's sign up to a newsletter or sign up for a webinar that you might be running or community, whatever it is. That's when you sort of go in for the ask.
Yeah, that was the more in-depth answer from you. You can ask me a question now.
Okay, cool. Do you think it actually makes a difference showing yourself on camera when you post on social media?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I am most engaged with, like when I watch people's stories, the ones that I actually watch from start to finish are the ones who like show themselves on camera. They're like speaking to the camera as if they're like addressing you personally. So it's almost like a personal thing between you and your audience. You become more relatable as well, I feel like. I think it also really helps showing yourself in reels. My reels that have done quite well are the ones that you filmed in my art studio, of like different angles. It's showing me working, close-ups of my hand holding the pencils, close-ups of my actual drawing. And yeah, I feel like people like to see the artist behind the artwork. And in terms of reels, I think you've got to also consider how short people's attention spans are these days, and you've got to capture their attention with your reel within like the first 0 to 2 seconds, and then keep it like short and snappy in terms of your clips all the way through. I always try and keep my clips like 0.5 to 0.8 seconds per clip and just have such a wide range of angles going on. So it's more interesting to watch. I feel like it's more engaging that way. I think the quality of your reels are really important. The ones that I've spent more time on, the ones that include me and have all them different angles going on, even though they might have taken me longer to edit or longer for you to edit because you're helping me with my social media now, that it's worth it because they tend to be the ones that do a lot better in terms of like the reach and engagement. It's just kind of doing them all the time consistently that's the hard part.
And also, just to add to that, then there's one little piece of information. Adam Mosseri, Mosseri, is the head of Instagram, and he posts a lot about reels and Instagram algorithm and stuff. And I think that will massively help content creators understand how things work on Instagram with the reels, what they're pushing, and that sort of stuff. It's something, or it's someone that you should definitely check out if you're not already following him.
Yeah, I've followed him for quite a while, but he definitely does help with that. If anything on Instagram changes in terms of features or anything, then like you're the first to know from him telling you basically. So he's definitely a good person to follow in terms of growing on socials.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just pushing out content about what his team has told him to do. He actually just answers questions from people on Instagram a lot of the times. So that's very useful, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know any scheduling softwares or apps that people can use? Like, say, we've been on about quantity of content as well as quality of content and staying consistent. But if people struggle with that, do you know any like apps or softwares where people can spend time scheduling a load of posts and then they don't have to worry about it at all for the next like 2 weeks or so? I used to use one, but I can't remember what it is. But I think when I used it, it was free, but now I don't think it is. You help me make quite a lot of my reels now, but no matter what drawing I'm doing or if I'm packaging, I'm constantly filming little bits and then I'll send them all to you to kind of edit, just because it saves me a lot of time. But yeah, I used to use something, I can't remember what it was called. Was it Planoly? I've heard of a few others, but yeah, do you know any that are actually decent?
Well, you've got the Meta Business Suite. That's the go-to realistically. But there's also like Hootsuite. There's Planoly, Sprout Social. I mean, there's going to be plenty of them on Google if you just Google it. But ultimately, I think what's more important is creating the content, because if you're not creating the content, you've not really got anything to actually schedule. So firstly, focus on creating the content and really focusing on some of the things that we've spoken about, the camera quality, the angles, putting yourself on camera, and then over time you're going to build up the quantity of content, and then you can start looking at scheduling.
I think using your phone for like to record content and stuff for social media to make reels is absolutely fine. I'm literally still using my phone to make tutorials, film all my reels and content bits, do my artist vlogs on YouTube. The camera quality is so good. This is the iPhone 15 Bella, iPhone 15 Pro, and it's got the cinematic. Has yours got the cinematic? Yours is the 11, isn't it? Your phone?
I've got the 12 Pro Max, but he's got cinematic pictures, but doesn't have cinematic video.
It blurs the whole background and you can focus on one thing. It creates really nice effects for reels in particular. It just looks like a really good quality camera. So yeah, you can still achieve really good results with your iPhone. So don't be put off if you've got even like a iPhone 3, if they still exist. Just focus on creating content consistently and getting it the best quality that you can. Really think about them angles and what's going to look good for someone who's just gone on Instagram and your reels come up straight away. Make sure they want to stay and watch it. I'm absolutely sweating, cobs. I'm boiling.
Me too. This office right now with the door closed is very, very hot.
Is it? I've got the light beaming in my face. I've got a cardigan on. I'm thinking about what I'm saying and I'm hoping that this whole setup has actually worked after all this, or else I'm going to cry.
Hopefully. If not, we're going to redo it tomorrow.
We did a tester and it actually did work. So fingers crossed. So just to finish off with your marketing expertise, I read something the other day that was like, it was said conscious creation plus strategic distribution in terms of posting on social media. And I thought that was quite interesting. So you can explain what that means.
Conscious creation, I guess, that's all about thinking of what you're actually posting rather than copying what everybody else is doing, because on the outside of things, it might look like it's actually working for them. And they might be getting views and they might be getting likes and comments and so on. And I guess you could sort of measure the success of posts or content by those metrics. But if your focus is to grow as an actual business or grow your art hobby into career, then of course you want commissions. And some of the content that you see online might not be getting people commissions, but it might be getting them likes regardless.
I'm going to stop you there. I think that you should like you always tell me to do this, and I don't do this enough, I don't think. Whenever I'm launching something new, whether I'm launching like another 5 prints or whatever, I'll tend to just do everything all at once, send out like an email to all my people that have subscribed to my mailing list on the day that I've launched it. I don't really build up enough anticipation, whereas I think you can use social media and be clever with what you post to give people that anticipation, like they're waiting for it. Oh, there's 5 days left. You're posting like little bits of snippets of things without shoving it in the face. But you can do that in a clever way with social media. So I guess when you're talking about conscious creation, that's kind of what it's on about. And strategic distribution is posting it at the right times. Is that a good explanation?
Yeah, I think that covers it pretty well.
Yeah.
I think strategic distribution would also fall in line with when you are releasing a product or something online or whatever it is, you want to be building the sort of hype up, I guess. And when you're posting on social media, you might be speaking and thinking and posting about something in particular once or twice a week, and you might feel like that's a lot for social media, but you have to think about how busy everyone is in their life, how busy their feeds are, and they might have scrolled past 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of your content without thinking or paying attention once. So I guess building out that volume of quality content and strategically distributing that across your social media, not just one sort of channel or social media network, but across the whole lot. I think that's what strategic distribution would fall in line with.
Yeah, that was way better explained than I did.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry to be nerding out a little bit there. Hopefully that explains it and it wasn't too confusing. Just, think about things you're posting and creating and try and give people a little bit more time to purchase something or understand what you're actually selling.
Yeah, and it's okay to give them an extra nudge. You might feel like you've posted about a certain thing quite a lot, but to them, with them looking at every other person's piece of content throughout the day or throughout the week, like you were saying, the likelihood is in a week's time they'll have forgotten what you posted last week. So it's okay to kind of give people that extra nudge, even if it feels like you're constantly posting about it to you. It's probably not even enough to them. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We've come full circle now. It's like having that balance between quality and quantity in terms of your content. But if you're just starting out, really focus on the quality and being consistent. And if you're sort of, well established in your business, but you just want it to grow, then again, the same thing applies really.
Yeah, when you're established, the quantity will come in play.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're both just equally as important, aren't they, really?
Well, yeah, I think to build quality, you need to be pushing out quantity. But then at the same time, the scale sort of tips and you want good quality content, but you want a lot of it. So that's when you sort of start building towards, and that's what you want to get to eventually.
Yeah, I guess it's different for different social media as well. All of this applies to Instagram, mainly what we've been talking about. But sometimes you can post like a really good quality video on TikTok, and then it can go viral overnight and boost your followers. That's it's not unlikely to happen because that's happened to so many people, but you've just got to be lucky for that to happen. I think instead of focusing on that, focus more on the consistency and the quantity, on TikTok especially. But yeah, I hope that's given you a bit of an insight. I feel like we'll be here forever, won't we, chatting back and forth about this topic.
Yeah, well, I think we probably could be here for another 2-3 hours at least. So I think it's good to end it here.
Yeah. I won't chat like for another half an hour like I did on our last one. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this different episode of Life of an Artrepreneur. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week, I'm hoping to get an actual artist on, not Conrad for the 10th time, as much as he's highly requested. I'm going to get an artist on next week, hopefully, if this technology has worked. But yeah, thank you for watching, and let us know what you thought about this episode and this setup. Hopefully the sound quality and the camera quality has been all right. Anything to add?
Thanks for having me. And thanks for all the lovely comments over the past couple of videos that I've shown my face on.
I keep screenshotting them and send them to him, and he's like, oh, I've got some fans. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you've been watching on YouTube, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more podcast episodes, artist vlogs, and all art behind the scenes videos. If you've been listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, then please leave a review. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Life of an Artrepreneur, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of the week. Bye for now. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.